906 earthquakes hit California and Nevada as we closely watch seismic activity at Yellowstone supervolcano, Mount Rainier, and the San Andreas Fault. And I just want to tell you that yesterday we had a very mysterious 3.8 magnitude earthquake in Maine that was felt all along the eastern seaboard. Michael Snider reports, have you noticed that there has been a lot of seismic activity on the west coast recently? According to the Southern California Earthquake Data Center at Caltech, there have been 906 earthquakes in California and Nevada just within the past 7 days. Meanwhile, magma is on the move at Yellowstone. We're being warned that a gigantic volcano off the coast of Oregon, the undersea volcano, could soon erupt, and houses in New England were just shaken like crazy after a very strange earthquake struck in Maine, as we said, 3.8 magnitude. We have been witnessing unusual seismic activity all over the globe in recent months, and I fully expect this trend to intensify even more in the days ahead. The good news is that the vast majority of earthquakes that are occurring in California and Nevada right now are very small, but over the past year, there have been far more mid-sized earthquakes in the region than normal. Seismologist Lucy Jones says that Southern California normally experiences about 5 earthquakes of magnitude 4 or greater each year, but by August of last year, the region had already been hit by 13. According to Jones, there have been 13 earthquakes in Southern California with magnitude of 4 or greater this year alone, she said. Compared to the last 20 years, there have been about 5 earthquakes per year of 4 or more in Southern California, she said. And that was before the magnitude 7 earthquake that struck Northern California December 5th. The magnitude 7 earthquake that hit off the coast of Northern California on Thursday, December 5th. However, a tsunami warning that had initially been prompted by the earthquake had now been canceled according to the U.S. tsunami warning system. The earthquake hit at 10:44 a.m. PST at a depth of about 0.4 miles. And according to the USGS, U.S. Geological Survey, the earthquake occurred off the coast about 39 miles northwest of the city of Portland in Humboldt County. Needless to say, this year is off to a very strong start as well. Alarmingly, the San Andreas Fault was hit by a swarm of 4 notable earthquakes in mid-January. The 4 quakes occurred along San Andreas Fault, the volatile boundary between 2 tectonic plates, the Pacific Plate and the North American Plate. It runs 800 miles along the coast of California. Scientists have said that the West Coast is overdue for a massive quake along the San Andreas Fault, which would measure magnitude 8 or higher. And I'll be watching activity along the San Andreas Fault very carefully, he says. For years I've been warning that it's just a matter of time before the big one dramatically alters the geography of California coastline on a permanent basis. Of course, Oregon and Washington have much to be concerned about as well. Scientists are telling us that there is a buildup of magma at a 3,600 foot tall volcano near the coast of Oregon. Axial Seamount, a massive underwater volcano located nearly 300 miles off the Oregon coast, is showing signs of an imminent eruption. This 3,600 foot tall volcano, which spans 1.25 miles across and sits 4,626 feet beneath the Pacific Ocean's surface, is currently experiencing significant swelling and rumbling, indicating a buildup of magma. At this point, researchers believe that this underwater volcano will erupt by the end of this year, after 2025. Now, after closely monitoring the volcano's activity, Oregon State University research associate Bill Chadwick predicts that axial seamount will erupt by the end of 2025 based on its recent increase in activity. When this volcano finally erupts, scientists do not expect it to be a threat to those living along the coast. Hopefully, they are right. But if Mount Rainier erupts, that will be another matter entirely. The following comes from an article entitled Mount Rainier Monitored Closely as Scientists Keep Watch for Signs of Volcanic Activity. Experts believe an eruption from Mount Rainier would pose a grave threat to millions of people who live in the southern and eastern sections of Seattle metropolitan area. One of the main hazards at Rainier is it's less explosive, but it has a lot of glaciers on top of it, and they can melt and form these really large lahars that can move downstream into area people live in, as he said. Lahars are very destructive volcanic mud flows that can swallow everything in their paths. I have been sounding the alarm about Mount Rainier for ages. Let's hope that the inevitable eruption does not take place this year. Next door to Idaho, a magnitude 4.2 earthquake rattled the southern portion of the state on Monday morning. A magnitude 4.2 earthquake was reported in southern Idaho on Monday morning. U.S. Geological Survey said the earthquake was reported just after 9:30 a.m. local time, about 16 miles west-northwest of Clayton at the depth of about 7 miles. Dozens of people across the region reported feeling the earthquake, including people in the Boise, Emmett, and Haley areas. And that's very unusual earthquake for southern Idaho. Interestingly, it has occurred at a time when scientists are warning that there has been a significant movement of magma beneath Yellowstone supervolcano. Recent studies have detected significant movement of magma beneath Yellowstone. This activity, concentrated in the northeastern region of the caldera, marks a shift from the previous monitored western areas. This change has led to a re-evaluation of potential eruption zones. It doesn't appear that there is any sort of imminent danger at Yellowstone, but we will be watching. Over on the East Coast, the magnitude 3.8 earthquake really shook up a lot of people on Monday. A magnitude 3.8 earthquake rattled parts of New England on Monday morning, with shaking felt from Boston to Portland, Maine, the U.S. Geological Survey said. The quake was centered about 7 miles southeast of York Harbor, Maine, and struck at a depth of about 8 miles, USGS said. Earlier, the USGS estimated the magnitude was 3.9. The York County Emergency Management Agency urged residents not to call 911 unless they needed urgent help. One local resident that was home when this quake struck said that the house started shaking like crazy. I was upstairs exercising, then all of a sudden the house started shaking like crazy. Kittery resident Paul Miller said dishes were rattling in the cupboards. The earthquake, located approximately 7 miles southeast of Newble Lighthouse, sent tremors throughout the state. Being in the basement out there on Newble Light, it was pretty dramatic, a lot more shaking going on, Stephen Brown said. I know that I covered a lot of material very rapidly in this article, but I wanted to give you a really good feel for what is going on around the country. And what we are witnessing is not normal, and I fully expect natural disasters to continue to be a major theme throughout the remainder of this year. And this is by Michael Snider on End of the American Dream. All of you there, please be careful on the West Coast and on the East Coast as well. Maine, as we know, has 4 volcanoes. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. This is by Michael Snider, and about the author. Michael Snider's new book entitled Why is available on paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 8 other books that are available on Amazon, including Chaos, End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future of America, The Beginning of the End, and A Living Life That Really Matters. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on the Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, and the Most Important News, and he's always freely and happily allowed others to republish those articles on their own websites. These are such troubled times and people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Finally, support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.